We go from the footy to American football, and as we showed you earlier, Saints quarterback Derek Carr's season upcoming, that's in doubt. Following reports he has a shoulder injury that might require surgery. Limited to 10 games due to injury last season. Did play through a shoulder injury in 2023 and didn't miss any time. But with this news, ESPN Bet has the Saints as the favorite now to draft quarterback Shedeur Sanders. They actually have the 9th pick in this draft as we welcome in draft analyst Matt Miller. So if Shedeur is there, particularly on the heels of this Derek Carr news now, is this a must pick for New Orleans in your estimation, Matt?
Buckle up, Saints fans. The first round is going to be exciting when they come on the board at number 9, and I don't think it is a must. Didn't think quarterback was a must for them. Even with Derek Carr on the roster, I don't know that this injury changes your future outcomes. If you don't love a quarterback at number 9, don't reach to take one. This front office, I know it's a new head coach in Kellen Moore, but Jim Mickey Loomis actually selected Spencer Rattler in the 5th round last year. They like him as a developmental player. He'll be taking the first team snaps when this team starts voluntary workouts on Monday. You don't have to take a quarterback this year. You can effectively tank behind Spencer Rattler and set yourself up for, guess who could be in next year's draft? Arch Manning. The last time the Saints took a quarterback in the first round, 1971, when his grandfather Archie was the pick. So maybe we're overconnecting dots a year out. But the 2020
in the first 2 rounds of the upcoming NFL draft, he's got Cam Ward expected to go first overall to the Titans, Shedeur Sanders to the Saints, Jackson Dart to the Rams. Now, in the 2nd round, Mel has Tyler Shuck landing in Cleveland, Jalen Milroe joining the G-Men. We now welcome 2 of our NFL draft analysts, Jordan Reed, Matt Miller, and Matt, in Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft, he's got Shedeur Sanders going 9 to the Saints. Other mocks have him 3 to the Giants. Kind of help me here, because there's some that have him at 21 to the Steelers. Why does it seem like Shedeur Sanders' draft place is all over the place?
Yeah, we talk about range in the draft. Shedeur's is big. It is from 3 probably all the way to 21. The Saints are definitely very interesting with Derek Carr at number 9. But I think what we're having happen is teams are basically evaluating Shedeur against the current quarterback room. If you're the New York Giants, you added Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. Is he going to start over Russell Wilson this year? Probably not. And this is a franchise where Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll are really coaching and drafting for their jobs. Then you get to no man's land in the teens of the draft, where every club will have to say, okay, we got a starter already. We're not the worst team in the NFL. We have to compare him to our current quarterback room. That's what makes it so hard to project a landing spot for him if he does get past the Giants at 3 or the Saints now at number 9.
Yeah, man, it's just the mixed opinions on the physical tools with Shedeur Sanders. You have some teams that really like him and feel like he can be that piece that uplifts his surroundings. And then there's other teams that have some worries about as far as what his ceiling can be on the next level. But there's no denying what he was able to do throughout his career, whether it was at Jackson State or most recently at Colorado. He took over 2 programs that did not have a history of winning prior to him getting there. But then he goes to Colorado. He's able to change that program. And then at Jackson State, he did the same thing, being able to win 2 SWAC titles there. His toughness, and then also the winning ability when he's able to turn a program around. There's no denying that about Shedeur Sanders.
So based off of his skill set, Matt, I'll start with you. Which team, in your opinion, is the best fit for Shedeur Sanders?
I'm going to go a little bit out of left field here, guys. How about the Miami Dolphins? They have a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa who's had injury and concussion issues. That is really what's holding Miami back, is Tua's inability to stay healthy. If he happens to get there, to pick number 13 in the first round, I think you have to consider it. In Mike McDaniel's offense, Shedeur's ability to play from the pocket, how surgical he is with his accuracy, the way that he understands space and timing. I think Miami's offense would be a perfect fit for him. You have Jalen Waddle, we have Tyreek Hill, a good stable of young running backs, and an offensive line in front of him that would be able to protect him. Now, the likelihood that Miami takes a quarterback in the first round is probably slim, but we've seen this before when players like Jordan Love slipped through the cracks in the first round. The Green Bay Packers said, hey, we're going to need a quarterback again eventually. Let's go ahead and take one now. So if we're just talking best fit, I love Miami for Shedeur.
Yeah, that's a really underrated one, Matt. But I'm going to go with a more obvious one in the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints have a huge need at quarterback, especially after the Derek Carr news that came out. yesterday. This is a big decision for the Saints to make. They're definitely a team that always feels as if they're in win-now mode, and it's obvious that they need a long-term quarterback of the future. They took Spencer Rattler in the 5th round, and they still can figure out if they have anything in him. But why not add Shedeur Sanders to the room with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and then some of the other weapons that they do have with Alvin Kamara in the backfield? So you take Shedeur Sanders at number 9 overall. Now you have your cheap option to take on while you try to figure out the whole Derek Carr situation and with that moving forward.
Curious as to whether the team would actually use the 6th overall pick on Shedeur Sanders. What I think you would like about it is he would pair with an offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, that has been at multiple stops now. I know that we all think about what happened last year at Ohio State and say that's the kind of system that Chip Kelly is going to run. Maybe. I also think that Chip Kelly is a very adaptable coach who will take advantage of a player's greatest strengths, which in the case of Shedeur Sanders is a pristine pocket passer who has elite accuracy and also touch on the football. So if he lands in Vegas, he's going to have to be patient. But if he can afford to be patient, the spot is a very good one because there is good offensive infrastructure right now with the Raiders.
And so, Mike T, in your mock draft, you have the Steelers trading up from 21 to 10, grabbing Sanders. They're also waiting on a decision from Aaron Rodgers, and we all are at this point. If you're the Steelers front office, what are you doing here with this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I actually like both situations and maybe a combination. So if you could get Aaron Rodgers, and I'm presuming when the owner comes out at the league meeting and said, hey, we're going to sign him, they may sign him. That's a one-year deal. I love Shedeur Sanders there long term. I think it's an ideal fit with what they want to do offensively from a standpoint of strong running game, play action pass. And now that you have George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Pat Freiermuth with the accuracy of Shedeur Sanders, you win for today with Aaron Rodgers, and you develop for tomorrow with Shedeur Sanders into the future. They're in a much better quarterback situation with that combination than at any point since Ben Roethlisberger.
So Shedeur Sanders sounds like a good long-term fit for this Raiders team. Gentlemen, let's look at some other teams with QB needs and play QB or not QB. You see what we did there with that one? All right, we can all agree that the Titans are taking Cam Ward at number 1. Yes, we all agree on that. So, Mike T, I'll start with you. Should the Giants take a QB or the best available player at that 3rd pick?
Best available player, I mean, look, there's 2 great players here, Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. You can't pass on greatness. I think there's an opportunity for either of those teams, Cleveland or the Giants, to come back up in the 1st round. But if you could get Travis Hunter that we're looking at here or Abdul Carter, you can't pass on guys that could be absolute dominant difference makers. Find the quarterback later on, take the great player at the top of the draft.
Yeah, Mike T, well said right there. I'm going to go with not quarterback as well for the New York Giants. And really, this might be the easiest pick of the draft in some ways for the Giants. It kind of reminds me of the Patriots at number 3 last year, Amina. Just take the 3rd quarterback that was going to be on the board. In this case, you just take the Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter of it all, right? Because we know that Cam Ward is going to go number 1 overall. Some people have said, well, do the Giants really need an edge rusher? When you're picking 3rd overall, it's for a reason. The most notable reason is you've got a talent gap.
Yeah.
Right now, you find the best player available, and you worry about whether you have enough